Stock photo companies are generating images with AI instead of licensing them from photographers. Ad agencies are producing ad campaigns with AI tools and smaller teams. Entry-level copywriting positions have dried up at major publishing houses. Junior graphic design roles at marketing agencies have been cut significantly at several large firms. These are facts, not predictions. They're happening right now. The question isn't whether AI is affecting creative jobs. It is. The real question is, which creative work is actually at risk, which is safe, and what do you do about it if you work in a creative field? Today I'm giving you the honest answer, without the panic and without the false reassurance. Node Pulse logo animation with deep electronic tone. Welcome back to Node Pulse. The creative industries are in the middle of a genuine disruption, one that's making some people wealthy and putting others out of work. Both of those things can be true simultaneously, and acknowledging that complexity is the only way to have an honest conversation about what's actually happening. Today's video is the one I'd want to watch if I worked in writing, photography, design, music, video production, or any other creative field. We're looking at what AI can actually do versus what it can't, which roles are genuinely at risk, which aren't, and what the path forward looks like for creative professionals who want to remain relevant and well compensated. Let's be honest about AI's current capabilities, because underestimating them is just as dangerous as overestimating them. AI generates images, illustrations, and graphics from text prompts at a quality level that is genuinely impressive and commercially useful for many applications. Stock photos, generic marketing imagery, product mock-ups, background environments, all of these are being produced by AI at a fraction of the cost of human creation. AI writes coherent, readable text at scale. Product descriptions, basic articles, social media captions, ad copy variations, SEO content, these are being produced by AI at dramatically lower costs than human writers. The quality on generic, factual, low-stakes content is sufficient for most purposes. AI generates music for commercial use. Background music for videos, podcasts, and advertising, royalty-free AI-generated tracks, have largely displaced the market for mid-tier commercial music licensing. AI generates video from text prompts, still images, and existing footage. The quality is improving rapidly. Sora, Runway, and similar tools are producing video content that was not possible a year ago. Short-form video production, especially for social media and advertising, is being transformed. The pattern: AI is excellent at high-volume, lower-stakes creative work that follows recognizable patterns and doesn't require deep originality. That describes a significant portion of the commercial creative market. Here's where the conversation gets more nuanced, and where creative professionals should focus their attention. AI struggles with genuine originality. It generates creative work by recombining patterns from its training data. It's extraordinarily good at producing competent, stylistically consistent creative work that resembles existing work. It is not good at genuinely novel creative directions, ideas that haven't been done before, concepts that require cultural understanding and timing, creative work that emerges from specific human experience and perspective. AI cannot form real client relationships. The most valuable creative professionals aren't just producers of content. They're trusted advisors who understand a client's brand, culture, competitive landscape, and goals at a level that requires ongoing relationship and context. An AI can produce work. It cannot replace the strategic creative partner who's been working with a brand for 5 years and understands what they need before they've articulated it. AI cannot produce creative work rounded in lived experience. The food writer who has eaten at 200 restaurants and understands why a specific dish works at a specific level. The photographer who spent 3 years in a conflict zone and understands what an image needs to carry weight. The novelist whose work draws from personal history and emotional truth. These forms of creative work are not threatened by AI. They're more valuable in a world where generic AI content is everywhere. AI's outputs are legally and ethically complicated. Copyright, intellectual property questions around training data, brand liability for AI-generated content, these are unresolved, and companies are increasingly cautious about AI-generated creative work for high-visibility applications. Being direct, the creative roles most vulnerable to AI displacement share common characteristics. They produce high volume of relatively standardized content. They compete primarily on price rather than unique perspective. They serve clients who prioritize cost over relationship. They don't require ongoing creative strategy, just execution. Stock photography, generic copywriting, basic graphic design for marketing materials, entry-level video editing for social media, template-based web design, transcription and captioning, background and library music composition. These are the categories where AI is already displacing human labor at scale, not as a future threat, but as a current reality. The creative roles with the strongest future all share one or more of these characteristics. They require deep client relationship, they depend on unique human perspective and lived experience, they involve high-stakes judgment calls, or they require cultural and contextual intelligence that AI genuinely lacks. Senior creative directors and brand strategists. AI accelerates production, but the strategic direction of a brand's creative work, knowing when to be provocative, when to be conservative, how to differentiate from competitors, how to respond to cultural moments, this is judgment-driven work that requires experience and accountability. Investigative and literary journalism. The reporter who cultivates sources over years, investigates and uncovers, and writes with a distinct voice and point of view. This isn't threatened by AI, it's differentiated by it. High-end commercial photography and cinematography, not stock imagery. The cinematographer on a major production, the photographer who shoots campaigns for luxury brands, the documentary filmmaker. These are judgment-intensive, relationship-dependent, technically and artistically demanding roles. Music performance, composition, and production at the level where human emotional authenticity matters. AI music is used for background and ambient applications. Human artists who perform live and connect emotionally with audiences aren't being replaced. If anything, the differentiation of live human performance becomes clearer in a world of synthetic music. Creative technologists, people who combine creative skills with technical AI fluency. The designer who understands Midjourney deeply and uses it to produce work that no human or AI could produce working alone. The director who uses AI video tools to achieve visual effects previously impossible at their budget level. These hybrid roles are growing rapidly. For creative professionals, the career strategy in 2026 is not "should I use AI?" It's "how do I position my creative work in a world where AI handles the commodity tier?" The answer is to move deliberately toward the characteristics that AI lacks: specificity of perspective, depth of relationship, human cultural intelligence, and strategic accountability. Generalist stock photographer? At risk. Photographer known for a specific style, a specific niche, with a roster of long-term clients who trust your creative judgment? Not at risk. Freelance copywriter who takes any project? At risk at the commodity end. Brand voice specialist who knows 5 clients' brands deeply and functions as a strategic partner? Less at risk and can use AI to produce more efficiently while capturing the value of that strategic relationship. Every creative professional should also become competent with AI tools, not as a gimmick, but as a professional skill. The designer who uses Midjourney for ideation and Firefly for production is not competing against AI. They're a designer with leverage, who produces more value in less time than a designer who doesn't use these tools. That's a career advantage, not a threat. The honest bottom line is this: AI is replacing the commodity tier of creative work. If your creative work competes primarily on price and volume for work that follows recognizable patterns, you are in the most vulnerable category, and the market has already begun to contract. If your creative work competes on perspective, relationship, originality, and strategic value, you are not only less vulnerable, you have an opportunity to increase your value in a world where AI-produced generic content is everywhere. Authentic, original, relationship-driven creative work becomes more scarce and more valuable as AI floods the market with adequacy. The creative professionals who will thrive in the next decade are the ones who made a choice to move up the value stack, to develop the relationships and perspective that AI cannot replace, and to use AI as a tool rather than competing against it. The displacement is real. The opportunity is also real. The creative professionals who acknowledge both honestly and act on that acknowledgement are the ones with the best path forward. This is not a reason to panic. It is a reason to be strategic about where you invest your creative development, who you build relationships with, and what kind of creative work you want to be known for. Subscribe to NodePulse for more honest breakdowns on AI's impact across industries. Drop a comment. What's your creative field, and where do you feel most or least secure about AI's impact? I want to hear your perspective.